Hi class, this is a tutorial on how to install an electric floor plan into your Revit Habitat for Humanity house. Um, when you're done, this is what the whole plan should look like so that you can kind of get a view for it. This line that I've highlighted right here is actually just showing that from this switch, when I turn the switch on, it will turn these lights on. And if I come over to this switch, it would turn them off. Or this switch would turn them on. That's called a three-way switch. This is another three-way switch that when I turn this one on, it will turn on these outlets. So these dashed lines are showing what's going to be turned on when I flip the switch. When I flip this switch, I'm going to turn my kitchen light on. When I flip this switch, I'm going to turn on these hallway lights. When I flip this switch, I'm going to turn on this light. These are outlets that are always on. These are outlets where the top is always live and the bottom is off until somebody turns the switch on. Once they turn the switch on, these outlets come on. So it's a half and half outlet. I put a fan in. I got a fan in here. And I'm just going to kind of show you how to put this stuff in. So the first thing you need to do is go to your original floor plan. I right-clicked, duplicate with detailing. Once I do that, I have a new plan. I'm going to rename this plan. I'm just going to call it Electric 2. Since I have a plan already, when I'm done, I'm going to delete this. And typically, we need to hide a lot of the items in this plan, so I'm going to push pause. Make sure you hide them and not delete them. I'm going to push pause while I do that. So I hid most of the items in view. I hid my furniture, I hid my countertops, but I left a couple of the sinks and stuff just for a reference point, so I know where they are, because that's going to be a little bit important when I install the outlets. So the first thing I do need to do is load the outlets into the plan. The hidden line is a little bit better frame to use for this, and it just takes all this color out of it. It's a little bit easier to see the electric plan if you use the hidden frame view. But to load in the outlets and switches and fans, go to Annotate Component, Load in Family, and then find the folder that says One Malum. You might have to ask me where that's at. I can show it to you really quickly. In here in the electrical folder, there is a fan detail. Hold down Control, lights detail, outlets detail, switches detail. Come down here, say Open, and you will get all four of them in the program. So for example, under Annotate Component, right now I have a outlet detail that's visible. I'm going to put 4 outlets over here on the side because I know that I want to have 4 outlets for my overall plan. So there they are, all 4 of them. Oops, one more. Annotate component outlet. Boom. Okay. So the first one, I'm just going to edit these outlets. These are your standard outlet. I'm going to leave the first one alone because I am putting some of those in my plan. The next one that I want to do is I want to make this the switched outlet. So you see there's all these check boxes in the properties menu. Because there's all these check boxes, I can turn different things on and off. If I go all the way to the bottom, a duplex outlet is the half and half option that I'm looking for. So there it is right there. I'm also going to need a GFCI outlet for my kitchen. So here it is right here. I'm going to check that. And it's going to put a little square. And then I'm going to uncheck the non-GFCI. So it takes the circle away. So GFCI outlets in the plan look square. I can put a little label on it that says GFCI. And there it is right there. Or I can put one that says it's just on the other side. Some people like it on one side, some people like it on the other. It's up to you. And the last one that I'm going to do is I do need one 220 outlet, which I'm just going to click that 220 box. It puts that line in. So these are the basic 4 outlets that I'm going to use in my plan. I like switched outlets in my living room and my bedrooms. The switched outlet was this one where half of it's live, half of it's dead. The dead part of the outlet comes on when you flip the switch, which is why it's called a switched outlet. So to put those in, the easiest way to do that is to use a tool that I've not shown you before. It's called Copy. And if I click the Copy button, and then I got to click right the spot I want to copy. I want to copy where the outlet touches the wall, the middle of the outlet where it touches the wall. And then if I come over here, I'm just going to put my cursor on the wall, and it's copied in. I'm just going to put my cursor on the wall, and it's copied in. One more time on the wall, and it's copied in. I'm going to put one more here, putting my cursor on the wall, and it's copied in. I'm going to continue to do this throughout the rest of my house and push the pause button so that I do not take up video time. Okay, so I put the switched outlets in, and if I zoom in, this one's not really positioned on the wall the same way this one is. So if I click on it and press the space bar, it rotates around, and if I press the space bar just a few times, I can make it stick to the wall the proper way. Sometimes when you click on these, you might have to reposition them slightly if they don't go exactly where you wanted them to, but with some practice, it's very easy to do. Oops, I wanted to grab that. There it is. So for example, those two, I mean, just for the appearance, I'm going to have them be a little bit more centered with each other. One's behind the door in this bedroom, one's behind the door in that bedroom. I am going to do the same exact thing with this outlet. I'm going to use the copy tool. I'm going to select where it would connect to the wall, and I'm going to drop that outlet into some places. So I'm right behind that door, and these look like they're going in kind of upside down. They're not. I'll spacebar them and spin them around, but I'm going to pause the video while I put some of these in using the same method. So these outlets are live all the time. They're never going to go off. I put them throughout my house. I did not put any outlets in the bathroom yet. I did not put any outlets in the kitchen yet other than these two by the kitchen table. And the reason for that is because bathrooms and kitchen have water. So that's where you have to use this GFCI outlet. Putting it in is the exact same process. I did the multiple copy tool. By the way, I did check this box that said multiple up there, and I am going to copy it multiple times. In a kitchen, you are limited to that 2-foot space. So you have to drop outlets in all over the place. And once I do this enough, this is why I left the sink in, so I kind of remembered where my sink was, so I didn't put an outlet where that goes. And in the bathroom, I'm going to put a couple outlets down here. I am going to pause though to save time. And the last outlet that I have to install is this one, which is the 220 outlet. I only have to put one of those in. This is for the stove. So if I just go over here and hide my stove, I can go and drop this. I'm going to press the space bar to rotate it, and I'm just going to put this outlet in for my stove. It's a different kind of plug. It gives the stove the power it needs to run. So I have pretty much everything in that I wanted to have in at this point in time. Just kind of hiding some of the things that I did not hide before. I do have some outlets in my utility room. There we go. Switches and lights. I'm going to put lights in next. So under annotate, component, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select lights, the light detail. There's only 2 lights that I'm going to use in a house. One of the lights is your standard light that you'd find like in a bedroom or a hallway. It's just a normal light. It's got like a glass dome, and there might be 2 or 3 light bulbs inside. Typically they're run to a switch, and a switch would turn them on and off. The other kind of light that I'm going to put in, and over here in the properties menu, there are some check boxes, is the recessed can light. A recessed can light is the small little, it's a hole, they cut it in the ceiling. The light bulb's actually recessed into the ceiling, and it shines light more kind of straight down. It's very common and very modern in houses today. Using the same copy tool that I showed you before, and I apologize, I should have showed you this multiple checkbox. If you check that, you can copy it multiple times. So I'm going to take my light and I am going to copy that light multiple times into my living room, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing in the kitchen. And I'm going to copy it multiple times, a little closer together so we get a little more light in the kitchen. And I'm going to pause while I put my other light in, which was the normal light. Put a normal light over the kitchen, through my hallway, and in my utility room. I did not put any lights in the bedroom yet, just due to the fact that I like something different there. So I'm going to go up to Annotate and Component, and I'm going to find a fan. And for a fan, I'm not going to copy this one because I only need a couple. I'm going to put a fan in my bedroom. I'm going to put a fan in my bedroom, and I'm going to put a fan in my bathroom. That fan does look ridiculous in the bathroom, so if I go over there and click on it, I can actually come back to the properties panel and change it to a bathroom fan instead of a ceiling fan. And it's the little square fan that you typically find in a bathroom. Now that I have that, if I add the light right over the top of it, it's kind of like the fan light combo. You can turn a switch on, it turns the light on, turn another switch on, it turns the fan on, and everything is good. There's only one item left to show you for putting in. I'm going to delete these extra outlets that I had over there. And the one extra thing or the one thing left to put in is switches. So under Annotate and Component, I'm going to find the switches detail, and I'm going to make a few switches over here on the outside that I can copy. 4 of them to be exact, just in case you'd want to use any of those. The first one I'm going to leave alone. The second one I'm going to make it into a 4-way switch. The next one I'm going to make it into a 3-way switch. A 3-way mirror just means it writes it on the other side of the switch. So for example, you put a little 3 there, and if I put the 3-way mirror on, it's going to turn the 3 over to the other side. You can use either one of them. So a little 3, a little 4. And this one I'm going to make it into a dimmer switch. So it puts a little D by it. That just means that the intensity of the light can be controlled up or down. You may want to put any of these switches in, but these are the 4 switches you have to choose from. A 3-way switch, I explained kind of at the beginning of the video, where if I put a 3-way switch in right here, I can turn the light on. So any of these lights on this path will turn on. And then over here, this is another 3-way switch. This would turn it off. Or when I come in from the patio, I can turn these hallway lights on. And when I get to the other end of the hallway, I can turn it off. It's called a 3-way switch because there's 1 switch, 2 switches, and the third thing is what it turns on. A 4-way switch would mean there's 1 switch, 2 switch, a third switch somewhere, and then the 4th item would be what it turns on. So you can use those however you would like. I'm going to put the switches in. So for example, I'm going to take that 3-way switch. I am going to copy it. I'm going to make sure the multiple box is checked. I'm going to pick the box right at the end. I'm going to put one on that wall. So basically I'm recreating what I just showed you. One's on that wall. And I am going to spin them so that they look appropriately. There we go, they're in my hallway. I need that black dotted line. That black dotted line that's going to show how my things are connected. So that's something I do have to add to the program because it's not in it yet. So under Manage, go to Additional Settings, Line Styles, and I am going to make a new line. The new line I'm going to make is going to be called Electricity. I think I'm going to call it Electricity 3 because I think I've done this a few times. So Electricity 3, and I'm going to leave it as black. And I don't want it to be a solid line. I want it to be this dashed line. So the dashed line looks like this. The 1/16 inch works awesome. Hit apply and OK. When I go to actually put that on my plan, I'm going to start at Annotate, and it's called a detail line. I want to make sure that I pick the right one, the one that I just created. So there's all these lines in the program. Pick Electricity 3, and the spline is a great way to do it. Spline just means I can click a bunch of time and create reference points. So for example, I'm going to say the word click. I'm going to go click, 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 and I am done. So there's my electricity line showing it goes from this switch up through and around here. In the last few seconds I have remaining, I'm going to go to the electric plan that I've already created and show you what it looks like when it's done. One more time. I know I started here at the beginning of the video, but it kind of is a great way to end the video because you can see here's a 3-way switch. I can turn it on here, it turns on all my kitchen lights, and I can turn it off here and it turns off my kitchen lights. I can turn on this light. The switched outlets need to show where electricity gets to them. It comes from this switch, goes across all these outlets, and it ends at this switch. I do not have to show electricity coming to these because they're always live. And that concludes this tutorial.